Hi, I'm Susan from Sunrise Quilt Studio, and today I'm doing a video on my Singer 239. I had received a request from a viewer and asked me to do a demonstration on this machine. Now this machine, according to the serial number, was made somewhere between 1934 and 1950, and it was made in France. And this is a straight stitch machine. It does not do zigzag, but it does do reverse. And I'm going to get a little closer up and show you a little bit of the details. Okay, here's the stitch length regulator here, and it goes anywhere from about 6 stitches per inch to 20 on here, and then you can go up a little bit higher and it gets it really tiny. I don't know how many stitches per inch it will do, but it will do more than 20. And the way you adjust this is you loosen this knob, and then you just lift the lever up or down however you want it. And I normally will keep it on 12, but it will go all the way down to 6 and turn that up to 12 and then tighten it right there. Now while you're stitching and you want to go in reverse, you just flip it up and it'll go in reverse, and it'll keep it at whatever stitch length that you had it at. So it won't change that for you. And then when you're ready to go forward again, you push it back down and it goes right back to where you had it set. Now the bobbin is wound up at the top, and this uses, I can't remember what size bobbin it uses actually, but I have a little plastic bobbin. This is a modern bobbin. This may be a class 60 bobbin, I can't remember. I don't think it's a 15, I think it's a class 60. But these bobbins will have a little groove in it here, and that fits in the groove in the pin here. There's a groove in this pin. So you just turn it till it kind of snaps in there. And then move this lever to the right, and then you have to release the clutch, and that's over here. And there's a little silver knob here on this side, and you turn that, hold on to the big wheel and turn the little wheel towards you to loosen it. And what that does is when you're stitching to wind your bobbin, the needle will not go up and down, and that keeps a better tension on your bobbin. Now when I bought this machine, it did not have the spool pin on it, but I was able to buy a replacement for it. So the only issue that I have is that it's a short pin, and spools of thread are longer now than they used to be. So if I get to where I am winding this bobbin and going a little too fast, this spool will pop right off of it'll just spin right off of the spool pin. So I have to watch my speed when I'm winding. And I'll show you a little bit about the needle. Okay, I'm going to show you how I thread the bobbin here. If I want to wind it, I go around this knob here and then thread the needle, or excuse me, thread the bobbin through the hole that's at the top, which is difficult to do since I have thread in there, but there's a hole there, and you thread the thread up through there and hang on to it, and then while you have that in the position and you press on your presser foot, that bobbin will spin and wind the bobbin for you. And then when you stop, you just press that off over to the left, and then your bobbin's ready to come out. Now when you want to thread the needle, you're going to go through this loop here, come down to the tension disc, go between those, and then when you get to your check spring, you're going to pull up until it snaps around this little hook here, and then go to your take up lever, and you're going to go from the right to the left, go through this gauge, this little lever here. If I can get you down further to see that. Okay, here we go. This little loop here, go through there, have another thread guide back here, Go through that, and then you want to go through your needle. And the needle in this machine threads from left to right. So you'll be threading this direction instead of front to back. You go right to left. Excuse me, left to right. I have another machine you go the opposite direction. So left to right, and then you go through. Now this is a short shank, and it's a straight shank. It is not slant. So any foot attachment that is a short shank should fit on here. And this is a modern piecing foot, a 1/4 inch piecing foot, so this fits well on this machine. And then the bobbin in your case, where your thread comes off, you want it so that it winds off the top towards the right hand side. Drop it in your bobbin case and then pull it through that slit until it snaps through here. And then that goes into the side of the machine here. And then bring my thread up. And then you're ready to stitch. So this has been a sturdy machine. It's worked really well for me. I haven't had any problems other than running it a little too fast for the bobbin winder and the spool, a thread popping off the top. And that's something I have been able to adjust to without any problem. So I think it's a nice little machine. Now I do have it in a cabinet. It did not come with a cabinet. It was sitting on top of a different cabinet that it doesn't fit in. I have that cabinet too now, and I have another machine in it. This cabinet that we have here was my husband's, either his grandmother or his great-grandmother. It may have been both of theirs, I don't remember. But the cabinet had been sitting in a barn for decades, and about 15 years ago I started searching for a cabinet to fit my modern machine and couldn't find one, and my mother-in-law told my husband to go drag this one out of the barn for me. And it didn't fit my modern machine, but I hung on to it and used it as a table for quilting. And then when I got this machine, I found out that it fit really well in here. And I'll show you a little bit of the details about this. Now you will notice over here that there is a space. This was, I don't think it was made for this type of machine, it was made for a different one, but a lot of the Singer machines were made with the same hardware to attach into the cabinets, and some of them had a little compartment here that you could keep extra bobbins and threads and your extra feet for your machine in, but this one did not have it, so it fit really well. Now this cabinet is very well worn. A lot of the finish is off of it, and some of the joints are loose, and it was my plan this summer to refinish this cabinet and re-glue some of the joints, but we had a little bit of a family crisis this summer. My mother got sick and passed away, and we're still dealing with all of those issues, so that took about a month of the summer away that I haven't been able to do anything. So eventually I'll get this finished and hopefully bring the beauty back out of it. But in the meantime, it's functional, and I've been using it quite a bit. Okay, I'll show you a little bit about how well this machine sews. I'm working on a quilt. I'm finishing up the piecing. I'm piecing the blocks together into rows at the moment. And the machine I have sat on 12 stitches per inch, and I have my 1/4 inch piecing foot on. And the speed control on this machine is strictly with the foot pedal, so there's no no electronics on the machine, any settings on the machine that you can use to control your speed. So it's all by your foot. And we'll do a little stitching here. You can see how well that just pulls that fabric right through. And I'm going fairly slow here. I'm getting to this intersection where there's a lot of layers of fabric here. And it goes through that really well. Through my into my seam here. No needle up and down position, so you have to do all that manually. But there we go. A nice seam. Stitching, the tension is good. There's no skip stitches. The back looks as good as the front. If you were to look at this and didn't know which side was stitched on the top, you wouldn't be able to tell. It's just really good tension on here. It seems held together well. So it's a really good machine. It is basic. It's just a straight stitch with a reverse, no speed control, and no zigzag. There are attachments that you can buy to make it zigzag. I don't happen to own one, so it's not something I'm concerned about with piecing quilts. I don't need a zigzag. And I can always use one of my other machines, use my modern machine if I want a zigzag or any decorative stitches. So the tension control is easy to adjust, and it just uses standard needles, so you don't have to worry about any specialty needles, just a standard universal needle, a Schmetz or a Singer needle. You just have to make sure you put it in the right direction. So you want it so that the scarf is on your right, because you're going to thread it from the left to the right. But there's only way it'll go in anyway, so you don't have to worry about that a whole lot. So these machines, if you find them, just check them out and see what kind of shape they're in. I've seen them, vintage machines in all kinds of shapes, all kinds of prices, anywhere from $10 up to over $300. It depends on the part of the country you're in, the part of the state you're in. The town that I'm in, the most I've seen them for is about $50, and then a larger town about 30 miles away from me, they start at about $150. So I don't know if they're selling them, but that's what they're marked at. So a lot's going to depend on if they've been refurbished or not. Of course, I do know of one machine that's about a 1950s. It's a Singer. I can't remember what brand it was. They state it needs repair, and they're asking for $325 for it. So that's not one I would consider. If it needs that much work, I'm not want to pay that much money for it. So a lot of these, the repairs, you can learn to do them on your own, and I think a lot of the sewing machine repairmen know how to work on these machines. So if you find one you like and it needs some rewiring or needs some replacement parts, the replacement parts are easy to find online. There's a couple of vintage sites for Singer parts and for other brands of machines that you can find the parts to replace them. And there are some instructions online on how to replace parts. So if you're up to that, you can try it yourself. If not, you can find a repairman who will do that for you. Thanks for watching. For more quilting ideas, click on the video links. And to keep up with my newest projects, click on the subscribe button. I hope to see you again soon.